Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Good day, good day, good day, Jaya, good day, Jaya Jaya, good day, good day, good day, Jaya, good day. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paramacharya Stotana Satashi Srimad, His Divine Grace of Bhajana Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaivam Narottamam Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Mohordaya Nasta Prajya Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hari Hari. So I was requested late last night to do something this morning because there was no internet on the farm. And so I agreed. And so I was requested to read something or share something about Janmashtami. I realized that there is a verse that we've been reading, but I'm not sure what that verse is. I think we're reading now the seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. And
7, chapter 1, text 33.
Okay. Chapter 1, text 33, the seventh canto. All right. Let me pull that really quickly and just look at those verses. And then I am going to just read a little bit about Janmashtami, share a little bit about Janmashtami. Okay, let me pull that real quick. Seventh canto, chapter 1, 7-1. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Okay. Thank you, Taka Prabhu. 7-1.
33.
33. Okay. So I'll just look at that and see what Krishna is sharing with us here. Prabhupada. Okay. Krishna is equal to everyone. Wonderful. Text 33. Matir Swashreyo Vashchadyo Dantavarkras Chapandava Prashara Pratbaro Vishnur Viprashapat Pada Chuto. Srila Prabhupada's translation. This is text 33. Narada Muni continued, O best of the Pandavas, your two cousins, Shishupal and Dantavarka, the sons of your maternal aunt, were formerly associates of Lord Vishnu. But because they were cursed by Brahmanas, they fell from Vaikuntha to this material world. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Shishupal and Dantaraka were not ordinary demons, but were formerly personal associates of Lord Vishnu. They apparently fell to this material world, but actually they came to assist the Supreme Personality of Godhead by nourishing his pastimes within this world. Okay, I'll read the second verse, 34. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Pridrisha Kashyavar Sapo Hari Dasa Bimarshanaha Ashradeda Ivabhati Harir Ekatinambavaha. So that translation, Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired, what kind of great curse could affect even liberated Vishnu Bhaktas? And what sort of persons could curse even the Lord's associates? For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again to this material world is impossible. I cannot believe this. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In Bhagavad Gita 8:6, the Lord clearly states, Mam upetya tvav kunteya punarjanma navidyate. One who is purified of material contamination and returns home back to Godhead does not return to this material world. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Krishna says, Janma karma chame devyam evam yobet tatvataha tvaktva deham punar janma naiti mam ekso arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving this body takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore was surprised that a pure devotee could return to this material world. This is certainly a very important question. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabanu Sata Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Bo. So I'm just going to comment a little bit on these two verses, and because I was requested to share something about today, Janmashtami, one of the most auspicious and sacred day, the advent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a day that devotees look forward to throughout the year, because in many ways, this is a day when we take deeper reflections to invite Krishna into our hearts. And so let's look at this verse. So Narada Muni is speaking here to the and he's speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and I guess that's who's speaking here. And so this pastime, it's a really beautiful pastime about yeah. So let me just go back to the pastime. This is a pastime of Jai and Vijay, and they were gatekeepers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They were caring actually for anyone. They were looking out to anyone that were going to come to see the Lord. So they were the persons that were they were the ones that were, how do you say, letting people in or letting people out to have darshan of the Lord, see the Lord. And so as this pastime goes, there were these four Kumaras, four young boys, sages, and they were coming to see the Lord. Can you turn your video back on? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yay. Okay. Didn't realize it was off. So they were coming back. They were coming to see the Lord. And I think these four young boys, Sanat Kumar and Sanandana, there's a few of them. So they, when they came to see the Lord, the Jai and Vijay, they kind of didn't show them very much respect because they were little boys. So they kind of saw them more so on the bodily platform than really understanding who these personalities were. And so I'm just kind of paraphrasing this pastime as I remember it. So please, dear devotees, their senior Tarka Prabhu is here. Well, he was here. He is here. And they're very elevated devotees here that are Sanskrit scholars, Sastric scholars. So if I remember this pastime correctly. So Sanandana, I think, or I think it was Sanandana that cursed Jai and Vijay to take birth in the material world because according to these sages, Jai and Vijay were being somewhat offensive for not acknowledging their presence and acknowledging who just in terms of who they were. And not that the sages were looking for acknowledgement. They simply wanted to come and see the Lord. And because they were rejected, because of Jai and Vijay thinking of them as just ordinary personalities, or he thought they should not enter. And so because they were cursed, they had to take birth again in the material world. Now, there's nuances to these pastimes, which is always very beautiful. It's never just what we see, what we read. They're always underneath some other backstory or some other little something, some way for us to open our hearts, open our consciousness to understand deeper what's going on. So if I remember correctly, these Jai and Vijay, when they were cursed, there were different births that they took. And so this is one of the births, I think they got 3 births or something like that in the material world. And this is one of the births, Shishupal and Dantavarka. And Prabhupada says here in the purport, they were not ordinary demons. They were personal associates of Lord Vishnu. So they were Jai and Vijay at some point in time. And they fell to the material world. So here we have a scenario or a situation placing in front of us that these pure devotees of the Lord, they have now entered into material world because of this curse. So Yudhishthira Maharaj in the next verse is inquiring, like what kind of curse could affect such a liberated soul? What kind of curse could do that? Let me see. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, yeah. So this word is Kridri Shaha. What kind of curse? How could a person possibly be cursed if they're pure devotee, if they're actually, in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha? And how could this affect, how could a Vishnu Bhakta be cursed to come back into the material world? So this is important in for us to reflect on how great personalities ask questions. They ask questions. Questions is such a major part of bhakti and very important in unfolding in our Krishna consciousness is to be able to ask questions to kind of help us with whatever doubts may be there. And so here, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, and because he's confused, he's saying, what sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates? Um, to let them fall into the material world, because that's not supposed to be like that. And there's verses to confirm that it's not supposed to be like that in terms of Vedic wisdom. And so he is now expressing his doubt. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he says, I can't believe this. I can't believe that a pure devotee can fall from the Vaikuntha planets into the material world. Now, even modern day devotees, there's often this question that keeps going back and forth. Did we fall from the spiritual world? Did we fall from the Vaikunthas? So this this pastime is very relevant, in many ways to help us to understand that this point, no one falls from the spiritual world. However, everything that happens in the spiritual world is done for the pleasure of the Lord, pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Um, so as we go on with this pastime, we will learn what happened, why they came into the material world, and what was the purpose of them coming into the material world. Because for pure devotees, there's always a purpose of why things happen in their lives. And so Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as we'll learn later, it was actually his desire, to have these personalities come into the material world to, for him to engage in fighting, because, he fought with these two persons. So the Lord is always eager to engage his servants in different ways. And the Lord also has different relationships with devotees, with different of his pure devotees. And some of his pure devotees, he have them come so that he can enact different pastimes with them. That's the sum and substance of what we'll learn as we go on, I believe, hearing this pastime. So if I remember correctly, that is basically these two verses. So we're getting the question, like, how is this possible? And then we're getting the doubt. This doesn't make sense. It's very confusing. Pure devotees are not supposed to enter the material world. And then from here, this beautiful verse, which is going to lead us into speaking about Krishna, um, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities upon leaving this body, take his birth again in the material, does not upon leaving this body take his birth again in the material world, but attain to my eternal abode. So Krishna is speaking this strongly, that if you come to the spiritual world, you never leave. Yet we see in this verse, these two verses, that these two personalities were cursed and they did come to the material world. However, very important, there was a purpose. And it is important to continue to read the pastime to understand what was the purpose and how are they fulfilling some desire of the Lord. That is what I got from these two verses at this point. It's just brief. And I'm going to ask if anyone has anything they'd like to add to that. In the meantime, I will share some things about Krishna's Janmashtami, Krishna's appearance. So anyone would like to share anything about these two verses to add to the question and to add to the doubt? Tarka Prabhu, would you like to add anything? You here?
I really don't have anything at the moment.
Okay.
I'm having to juggle several balls here at once. I've got a bunch of things going on in preparation for today.
Hmm. Okay, so questions and doubts are part of the bhakti process and very important part of the bhakti process. And there's always, always, always a backstory to everything, and there's always a reason why Prabhupada, why these pastimes are there to help us to understand the deeper meaning of what Krishna, understanding what Krishna wants. Why does Krishna engage his pure devotees like this? So I'm now going to shift over to this introductory chapter of Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, part 1. And I'm just going to read just what Prabhupada says here about Krishna's advent. I know His Holiness Deva Mrita Maharaj tonight will give a class on Janmashtami. However, just to kind of help myself and to uh, perhaps give some little bit of maybe some points about why um, why we celebrate Janmashtami. What is the whole reason for this? And just from the point of view of inviting Krishna into our hearts um, on Janmashtami, how do we do this? Is there some ways that we can invite Krishna into our hearts? Although we know Super Soul is there, always sitting there, sometimes we're not always aware. So how do we become present to the Lord in the heart? And this is some of the backstory so that we could begin this journey of inviting Krishna into our hearts. Okay, I'll read some of what Prabhupada says. Once, when the entire world was overburdened by the increasing military power of demons in the form of kings, Mother Earth assumed the shape of a cow and approached Lord Brahma for relief. Sympathetic to Mother Earth's lamentation, Brahma, accompanied by Lord Shiva and other demigods, took the cow-shaped Mother Earth to the shore of the Milk Ocean, where he offered prayers to please Lord Vishnu, who lay there on an island in transcendental ecstasy. Brahma therefore understood the advice of Mahavishnu, who informed him that he would appear on the surface of the earth to mitigate the burden created by the demons. So here we learned there were the earth was overburdened, just like today the earth is pretty overburdened, or maybe burdened, maybe not totally overburdened, because there's always something happens when it's overburdened. And we see this is constantly happening. It's not just now that that we have all these calamities on the earth. This was happening even that time, which is why Krishna appeared. And so Brahma therefore understood the advice of who informed him, okay, that he would he informed him he would appear on the surface of the earth to mitigate, to get rid of the burden created by the demons. The demigods, along with their wives, should appear there as associates of Lord Krishna in the family of Yadu to increase the sons and grandsons in the dynasty. By the will of Lord Krishna, Anantadev would appear first as Balaram, and Krishna's potency, Yogamaya, would also appear. Brahma informed Mother Earth about all this, and then he returned to his own abode. So we have Brahma, the creator of the universes, and he is approaching Mother Earth because yeah, there's so many demons on the planet, and they're trying to get some relief from the work of the demons. So Prabhupada goes on. This is just an introduction to what Janmashtami is all about. After marrying Devaki, Vasudeva was returning home with her on a chariot driven by Kamsa, her brother, when an omnibus voice addressed Kamsa, warning him that Devaki's eighth son would kill him. Upon hearing this omen, Kamsa was immediately ready to kill Devaki. But Vasudeva diplomatically began to instruct him. Vasudeva stressed that it would not be good for Kamsa to kill his younger sister, especially at the time of marriage. Anyone who possesses a material body must die. Vasudeva advised him. Every living entity lives in a body for some time and then transmigrates to another body. But one is unfortunately misled into accepting the body as the soul. If a person under the mistaken conception wants to kill another body, he is condemned as hellish. It's really nice how the prophet got the philosophy. I mean, he got the basis. We're not this body in this little chapter or this little paragraph. He's speaking about Vasudeva and Devaki, and he's speaking about Krishna being the eighth son. At the same time, he's also helping us with this very basic principle of bhakti, that every living entity lives in a body for some time and then transmigrate to another body. Because Kamsa was not satisfied by Vasudeva's instructions, Vasudeva devised a plan. He offered to bring Kamsa all of Devaki's children so that Kamsa would kill them. Why then should Kamsa kill Devaki now? Kamsa was satisfied by this proposal. In due course of time, when Devaki gave birth to a child, Vasudeva brought the newborn baby to Kamsa, who, upon seeing Vasudeva's magnanimity, was struck with wonder. When Vasudeva gave Kamsa the child, Kamsa, showing some intelligence, said that since he was to be killed by the eighth child, why should he kill the first? Although Vasudeva did not trust him, Kamsa requested Vasudeva to take the child back. Later, however, after Nanda approached Kamsa and disclosed to him the demigods were appearing in the Yadu and Vrishni dynasty and conspiring to kill him, Kamsa decided to kill all the children born in these families. And he also decided that any child born from the womb of Devaki must be killed. Thus he arrested and imprisoned both Devaki and Vasudeva and killed 6 of their sons, one after another. Nanda had also informed Kamsa that in his previous birth, so remember in those verses in Bhagavatam, we're talking about the previous verse of those demons. So here again, we have some understanding of previous birth. Kamsa was Kalamini, a demon killed by Vishnu. Consequently, Kamsa became a great enemy to all the descendants of the Yadu Vamsa, the Yadu dynasty. He even arrested and imprisoned his own father, Ugrasena, for Krishna wanted to enjoy the kingdom alone. Okay, so I'm just going to stop at this little introduction. This is from the 10th canto, part 1, and that's just introducing basically the backstory of why Krishna took birth, why Krishna came why Krishna appeared. Actually, one time I was given a class, I think it was Janmashtami, and Jayadvaita Maharaj was sitting in the audience, and I was talking about Krishna taking birth, and he actually corrected me and said, no, Krishna didn't take birth. Krishna advented. And so I always remember that. And that on Janmashtami, I always like to read that section, the introduction of Krishna's advent, because it gives the history of why Krishna advented. It's very clear that Krishna didn't take birth when we read that introduction, that Krishna actually came for a reason, a purpose, and he was requested to come. He he actually will learn a little bit about why he comes. Why does Krishna come? And what does he what does he accomplish by coming into the material world? So Janmashtami, this time today, it's actually a sacred celebration of Krishna's um, divine appearance in the world. And so on this day today, the devotees, of course, we 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 celebrate, we commemorate, we speak about the pastimes of the Lord. We await his appearance at midnight. We fast. We increase our chanting, our hearing. We beautify their lordships on the altar. We beautify the altar. Most importantly, though, is we, in this time, especially today, we pray to invite the Lord into our hearts. We pray that Krishna can, that we can be present to the Lord within our hearts. And so Krishna, just as Prabhupada is sharing this Advent, just to take that Advent, to understand that Advent a little more, Krishna birth is not like our birth. Krishna is Aja, he's unborn. He's without beginning, without end. You know, many people, when they speak about God, they don't understand. You know, they say God is infinite, right? But however, they don't have a conception that even, yes, God is infinite. However, God is a person that has there's no beginning, there's no end to when Krishna existed. And so even though he is infinite, he's also a person. I was listening to a devotee recently is a book distributor, and he was distributing Bhagavad Gita in it was in South Africa actually, and he was distributing this Bhagavad Gita to someone that had some conception of God. There was a religionist. However, that person, their understanding of God was deeply expanded because they had received a Krishna book. Prior to this devotee giving him this Bhagavad Gita, the first book he got was a Krishna book. And this person was sharing with the book distributor. He said, I got this Krishna book, and he was speaking Krishna's pastime about how Krishna took birth. This person that read Krishna book, he had only had the book like a week, and he had read many of the pastimes, and he was just really like absorbed in sharing how learning that Krishna is a person, that God is a person, and how beautiful it was for him to be able to enter into that mood of learning about God taking birth and God, you know, expanding himself into Lord Balaram, and you know, he was just like amazingly impacted by this knowledge, and it wasn't he didn't know anything about Krishna. However, he was a religionist. He had faith. He had faith in God, but he didn't. He had that conception of God being infinite, and he didn't have the knowledge that God is a person. So that Krishna book awakened him to this understanding of God being a person. And so this is a part of the one of the reasons why Krishna appears, is to give us this heart awakening, to let us know, let us understand, or let us somehow or other become aware that he is a person and he is there with us always in our hearts. And so we simply just, as the more we are present to the Lord within the heart, the more we actually experience activities about the Lord. So this person, he was open, and he, as I said, he was faithful. And so then the Lord gave him realizations in the heart. Prabhupada gives this nice explanation about Krishna having no beginning and no end. And he says, just as the sunrise does not mark the birth of the sun, just as when the sun is rising, it does not mean that the sun is taking birth. Krishna's appearance is not his origin, or is not his origin, but the commencement of his pastime in a particular universe. So again, this concept of Krishna is adventing, and he advents in different universes at different times. And just as sunset, when the sun set, it does not signify the death of the sun. So merely it's sitting in one place and rising in another. So I'm just quoting this from Srila Prabhupada. Krishna ends his pastimes in one universe only to begin them elsewhere. When the next day of Brahma arrives, Krishna reappears, just as the sun rises again where it has not, where it had once set. So Krishna, he explains this in Bhagavad Gita, and that's this verse that we're reading in the seventh canto of that we just read from this pastime of Shishupal and Dantavarka, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. That's the same verse that's being used to help to express, to help us understand Krishna's activities and appearance as transcendental. It's not of this world. They're ever present, and he becomes visible when when that time, just because we heard from the Advent that the Mother Earth is requesting, Rama is requesting on behalf of Mother Earth, and then he comes to uplift the world. So the Lord, as a person, appears. He appears and he acts somewhat as an ordinary person. Many people may not understand this. However, he's not an ordinary person. So I'm just going to look at a couple of 2 or 3 ways of how we can open our hearts, invite Krishna into our hearts, how we can prepare our hearts for Krishna. So the story of Devaki and Vasudev, it gives us a powerful lesson in devotion and surrender. Devotion and surrender. Because we see that on the day when they got married, there was that divine prophecy that Devaki's 8th child would be the cause of her brother's death. They got this understanding. And though they were fearful, they were very fearful, because Kamsa, when he heard that the 8th child was going to kill him, he mercilessly just wanted to kill all of the children. So he did kill at least the first 6 children. The 7th child was Lord Balaram, who we celebrated his appearance, I guess a week or 2 ago. And Lord Balaram, he was mystically transferred into the womb of Rohini, paving the way, getting ready for Krishna's divine appearance. And so, according to the Vaishnava Acharyas, these 6 children that were slain by Kamsa, that was killed by Kamsa, they represent within us lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, and illusion. And so it's explained in Sastric wisdom that Lord Balaram, he represents Guru Tattva. So Lord Balaram is the original guru, and we can read about Lord Balaram's and Lord Balaram how Lord Balaram expanded in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adilila. There's complete explanation about Lord Balaram. And he's also the principal of the spiritual master. So what does that teach us about Balaram being the original guru, the original spiritual master, and he appeared before Lord Krishna. So this, according to Srila Prabhupada, when our hearts are cleansed and we are guided by the spiritual master, the spiritual teacher, then it becomes a suitable place for Krishna to appear. So what is it that we need to be cleansed of in order for Krishna to appear in our hearts? Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, and illusion. On our own, absolutely, we cannot free ourselves from these different anarthas. However, by that principle of Lord Balaram, the original guru, we have this mercy in this material world to get the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada and some of Srila Prabhupada's representatives. So removing our own inner impurities and accepting spiritual guidance can prepare us for this divine intervention or this connection of the Lord, this divine connection. So on Janmashtami, on this day, this very sacred, holy, precious day, it's important for devotees to reflect on, are we creating space for Krishna in our lives? Are we ready for the inner purification required to welcome him? So speaking from my own personal experience, this is my 45th Janmashtami, I believe, in this body, in this life. And it's very interesting as I look at this Janmashtami and I think and I reflect on the years that somehow by the mercy of my spiritual master, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, I've been given opportunities to just to celebrate this most glorious, auspicious occasion. And each year I always pray to the Lord to please help me to develop the sincerity to receive the mercy, to understand more about how lust or anger or greed or pride or envy is manifesting within myself. And as the years go on, I notice that, I'm not as affected by so many of these different anarthas. They certainly have minimized. However, I realize though that in order for Krishna to truly appear in my heart, there are still anarthas that would come up. And one of them today, I went to Mangalarti and I had this realization about speaking loving, kind words, loving words, in our association. And sometimes we can see our minds. We can see how our mind could travel to words that may not be so loving and so kind. So this morning, very enthusiastically, everyone, myself included, joyfully, singing and dancing for the Lord. And all of a sudden, I saw this personality enter into my mind, which was and produced not very loving words. It just saw something and was like, oh, why this? What's this? And it was just amazing to see that and be aware of it and just understand, Krishna, it's another Janmashtami. Please help me, that I can see these thoughts that may not be so loving and so kind and so gracious and so generous. And please help me to somehow or other, by whatever it takes, the mercy that you give and my own endeavor, help me to transform these negative thoughts into loving and kind words within my own mind. And so, yes, this principle that these six anarthas, they we have to they must be minimized, given up before we can actually experience Krishna appearing within our hearts, because Krishna won't come into a place that's contaminated, that's toxic. So even though here I was, performing austerity, going to the morning program, feeling absolutely wonderful, joyful, there was that. Whew. And I was like, oh, Krishna, okay, thank you for letting me see this and letting me remember that I do want you to appear in my heart. And that's something that is stopping me. That's an obstacle. You won't appear in my heart as long as these words that come into the mind are not positive. Haribol. So I'm gonna just pause for a minute here and get some reflections from you. It's 7:50. I'm sure that, I'm sure it's a little late on the altar because today's the day when the pujaris get this beautiful opportunity to gloriously celebrate dressing the Lord. Yes, Agar Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Ma.
Hari Hari.
Thank you so much for that wonderful exposition on the important question posed by Yudhishthira Maharaj and how it ties into understanding, the importance of Krishna's appearance and the importance of just how even pure devotees appear in this world. So, in your 45 observances of Krishna's appearance and observing the disappearance of your illustrious spiritual master, how has that helped you understand just understand the mystery of Krishna's appearance and his disappearance in this world?
Hmm. So if I can understand you correctly, Gari Prabhu, maybe I could practically share my experience and also philosophically, how do I understand Krishna's appearance and disappearance? I can really say honestly, philosophically, I'm still understanding by simply reading Srila Prabhupada's words and how he explains the appearance and disappearance. And as I read these, his appearance over and over and over and over again, then I do get practically some understanding, because I see how in our world today, how crazy it is and how many people are calling out for the Lord at this time, and although people may not have any realization that God is a person and God can actually appear and actually make shifts and changes in the world, by having read these pastimes and hearing these pastimes over and over and over again about Krishna's advent, and by seeing the chaos that we have in our world today, it certainly satisfies my need for philosophical wisdom, if you will. Philosophically, I can understand it. Practically, I can understand it. How does it apply in terms of real life? Will Krishna appear because the world is going crazy right now? Well, for me is that Krishna will appear in my own heart. And what will prepare my heart? How will I prepare my heart for Krishna? Is getting free of those six anarthas that represented Devaki's children, Devaki's children that Kamsa killed. So, as I kind of think about all that, as I meditate on all that, I understand, yeah, Krishna, it starts first with me, and then then it can expand. Then by me being aware, like today I shared, I was aware. I was like, whoa, this is Krishna. It's your Janmashtami. Why did this thought come? It was funny because Kabir and I, were driving back and I shared with him. So I can't believe this, Prabhu. This is just so amazing. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. How is the mind going to some crazy place at 5 o'clock in the morning? And he was laughing and he was saying, wow, it's interesting because I'm always in that space. He's saying this himself. I'm always in that space where my mind goes, crazy with some thought that's just not loving words. He said, but today I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that at all. Today I had no thoughts. He felt so joyful that he had no thoughts that could possibly distract him from the fact that today was Krishna's Janmashtami, and it was not, there was no anartha that was influencing his mind. So yeah, so practically for me to understand Krishna's appearance and disappearance is for me to not be influenced by the anarthas that's there in the human conditioning. And I can't say that that's there yet for me.
Thank you. So basically, if I'm understanding you correctly, your experience of Krishna Janmashtami has been like on the Ashakti platform, like that clearing stage of just observing these major six anarthas and just really making the heart clean so that Krishna can actually have a comfortable place to be in.
Yeah, we can say like that. I mean, I can't prepare it. I certainly pray that it can be prepared. I can't prepare my heart. That Shakti place. Yeah, I think we go through. We definitely may be going through that stage, but I think other stages may be there also, right? At different
Right.
times.
So I'm trying to get to the nectar. Yeah, I'm trying to get to the nectar. So it's like we see with Mother Devaki, in a world, when Krishna appeared to her, was that she was simultaneously very happy, at the same time in anxiety. So, and therefore, she was just in awe and just seeing how beautiful Krishna is, full head of hair, he had jewels, etc. But then she was in anxiety that her brother might kill him. And so
Yeah.
she requested him. So we are introduced to, okay, this is how she felt on Janmashtami. So could you maybe share, have you had like a very special revelation like this emotionally in Krishna Janmashtami?
Well, for many years, I spent outside of America for Janmashtami. And for many years, my Janmashtami was spent distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And I can say that, I wasn't celebrating in a temple because we didn't have a temple in some of the places. We were starting temples. And so we didn't have big celebrations like we're having in Gita Nagari tonight. It was kind of a little bit, austere. It's like Devaki and Vasudeva, they went through like immense like hardship, right? They were in prison and there was constant fear and there was heartbreak, and yet they remained unwavering, right? In their desire to receive Krishna. So when I was distributing books, it was kind of like that. It was hot, it was intense, it was, a lot of material conditionings. At the same time, I would have so much joy in my heart. With every book that I gave, because it was like, oh, Krishna, you're giving me an opportunity to share you with someone else today on this day. So that was a very joyful period of my life to be able to give a book to someone on Krishna's Janmashtami. Another very joyful period of celebrating Janmashtami is chanting 64 rounds. There was another period of my life where I had that opportunity to just chant. And that was when I was living in the New York temple. Janmashtami was revered because the devotees would take the time to chant 64 rounds. And when we chant 64 rounds, there is some kind of I don't want to say like feeling because that sounds so mundane, but it is definitely maybe a more transcendental feeling of 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 getting, maybe this is not a feeling, but it's a thought of getting some extra grace or something like that, to yeah, to be stronger during the year. So we felt at that time, at least I did, I felt very satisfied, like just really content in my practice when I would chant 64 rounds. So that was another other period of Janmashtami. Mostly, yeah, the Janmashtami has been a times for us. Like I said, that time when we were, just preaching in a foreign country and not having so many things. The joy came from watching another person light up from even reading a paragraph of Prabhupada's books. That was like nothing could replace that. Nothing. Or, doing Harinam. Those things are just very fulfilling. They give a different kind of, yeah, they're very fulfilling, especially on Janmashtami on this day. Yeah. And I don't know if that helps.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Like one of the things to reflect on Janmashtami is, are we willing to embrace inconvenience, for Krishna's pleasure? Today's a lot of inconvenience in many ways. So are we willing to do that? Are we ready to choose like devotion over comfort? Like when they called me last night, first of all, just to get up this morning to go to Mangalarti was like, whoa, okay, Krishna, you really got to help me in this one. And believe it or not, this is so interesting because devotees help us so much. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, Mother Yashoda came in my dream. Yashoda from Ghana came in my dream, like, tell me something about something else. And I was just like, I woke up, it was 3 o'clock. I was like, thank you. You woke me up. All right, great. So Krishna arranges for devotees to help us so much in different ways. And that's also a joy on Janmashtami morning. I was like, there was a call, it was 11 o'clock. And I was thinking, how can I even prepare? I don't have time to, I'm tired, like how do, it's just so inconvenient. So are we ready to choose devotion over like our own comfort and sacrifice, just to have Krishna, know that Krishna is there within us. These are real practical things to ask ourselves on Janmashtami, just like fasting, right? Today's like, it's a fast day, isn't it? Till midnight? Yeah, that's intense. There's so many devotees that don't do that, because it is definitely like an inconvenience in so many ways. It's a very creates discomfort. However, when devotees are able to do that beyond, what they think they can do, then there's so much satisfaction Krishna gives. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Can you share with me some of your experiences?
No, ma, you're on the hot seat today. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, okay, Agari Krishna Prabhu. Is there anyone else? Okay.
Hare
So,
Krishna, Mataji.
yes,
Just want to
Prabhuji.
say thank you for a wonderfully inspiring class this morning. And what I'm hearing from you and relishing today is just how dramatic Krishna is, even in his appearance. It's a multi-layered drama spanning eons, spanning eras, and spanning different parts of the universe, including this very dramatic conflict with Kalanemi and Kamsa. And yet even all of that drama is just like just like a prelude to the real drama of Krishna in Vrindavan, flirting with all of the cowherd girls. And I'm just appreciating that the drama is so attractive to us. In fact, we're often looking for it. people don't have enough drama in their lives, and so they go to some theater to try to expose themselves to more drama. Or, as you
Yeah.
probably heard, some people even make drama just because sattva guna is too boring for them. And so I'm just so appreciative of how dramatic Krishna is. And I think on the Janmashtami, well, this is what I'm hearing from you, especially when you're bringing up this, these questions, that this is what we're really attracted to, and this is what we need, to be confronted by the drama of Krishna's appearance and his activities. And therefore, he says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvata. Like, if you really get into that, that's the drama that uplifts you, whereas every other worldly drama is fully degrading.
Yeah.
And so I just want to thank you for shining some light on that. That'll definitely be my contemplation and meditation for today. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
thank you. Thank you both. Thank you so much, Ashadev Prabhu. I always value your contributions. You and Nagari Krishna so much. You guys are my heroes. You're my Satvik heroes. Yeah, like you said, with the drama that people are perceiving in the world today, and this kind of drama, everybody's looking that they're online constantly reading or whatever, hearing what's the latest unfoldment in the world. However, this drama of hearing about Krishna, it like increases our longing. It like cultivates a deep longing for more and more. Anyone that takes time to just quietly sit and read any part of Krishna's appearance, whether it's the prayers from the demigods, or whether it's the birth of the Lord, or whether it's Prabhupada's introduction, any part of this entire drama, if you will, of learning a little bit about Krishna, it brings more of a yearning to hear about him, to hear about, in this case, how he appeared to Devaki and to Vasudev. So it's just like hearing about this dark cell, this dark prison cell, and of Kamsa, and how he filled it with Krishna. He filled that cell when he appeared with divine radiance. Like just to have that visual, like, wow, somebody's in this really dark place, and then Krishna comes and it just changes the whole atmosphere of that dark place. And so it's like that, right? In our drama of life, sometimes our drama appears to be dark, and then just to hear about Krishna, it just brings more light, it brings more radiance. So yeah, so how you know this joy that Krishna brought to Devaki and Vasudev, that helped them to just go through all the things that they were going through. How do we apply that in our own life? Like, we're all challenged in some different way or another. Certainly not like the Lord's parents. However, in our own personal challenges, how do we bring Krishna into our lives to bring that light, that radiance? What do we do? Yeah, yeah. How do we prepare? Like, how are we preparing even today for that radiance to enter? Like Agari Krishna's question, right? How's Krishna appearing today for us? Where are we going to see the bright light or the joy, or or is it going to be when we see the altar open at 8:30 or whatever? Like, oh, just there's a beauty, there's a radiance that comes from seeing the Lord on the altar. And is it going to be cooking preparations? What is it? What are we doing today? I think that increases, right, the desire to be in the drama of Krishna, in the Leela of Krishna. Yeah, I think in this longing, there's a question, another reflection. Are we like cultivating that longing for Krishna's presence? Are we like allowing inspiration to grow into that yearning so that we can make transformation. This is just a question I was putting together some questions for myself, just understanding what all can be done in this one day. Well, how can I increase my longing for Krishna today? So I'm just going to ask this question. What are some of you doing to increase your longing for Krishna today? What are you doing, Corey?
Being present and taking everything in as it comes.
Wonderful. All right. Yeah. Being present and taking every, moment that comes, to seeing the opportunity in that to really long for Krishna more and more. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Krishna will reciprocate also. This is a day he really reciprocates. I mean, he reciprocates all the time. Today's a day. Yeah, Gari Prabhu. What are you doing? Thank you, Corey.
I am chanting and fasting, long for Krishna in the form of prasad, and then chanting to long for Krishna in the form of actually just begging, trying to just serve him.
Wow, nice. Yeah. Yeah, just to focus, on this day with some way that we are welcoming Krishna in our consciousness more than we may have the other days. Yeah, just doing that. Surely that yearning for prasad will not come until after he appears. So that's a deep longing. It's like, Krishna, I gotta wait till you appear. Okay, let me be present, like Corey said. Let me be present to what all is going to go on for the next how many hours. Yeah, thank you so much. What about you, Yashadev Prabhu? How is your deep longing for Krishna? How is it manifesting today?
Well, today after work, unfortunately, I have to do that first. But then I plan to come down to Gita Nagari and be very busy in devotional service. I find that's the best way to fast. If you, and maybe it's just me, but if I just sit around crying for Krishna too long, then my stomach gets very loud. So I try to stay busy.
Nice.
And really looking forward to that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, we're going to increase our deep awareness of longing for Krishna today, all of us. Arva Leela Kishori, yes, see you're here with us.
Hi, Krishna Mataji. I'm traveling to Gita Nagari.
Beautiful.
Yes. And then plan to do the same thing as yesterday, to be engaged in some service when I get there, and then just be so grateful to celebrate in association of the assembled devotees. So.
Yeah. That's your longing. You're longing by performing austerity to take that 4-hour drive or whatever, however long it is, to get here, just to be in the association of the devotees and to be in the presence of when that beautiful altar opens. And
yes.
Yeah, just that longing, and just rest in that longing for Krishna, and Krishna will reveal himself. Hey, look who we got here. Thank you. Thank you, Leela Kishori. Yes, my love. What about you?
I've been put on the hot seat by Hare Krishna. I want to increase my hearing, so I want to chant extra, and also I'm usually cooking or something during the program, so I often miss them. So I really want to make an effort to be there for the program this evening.
Wow. Yeah, special program. The spiritual master is speaking. Certainly there's some wisdom that will be there to land in your heart.
And games.
Games.
I want to have fun.
Have fun for Krishna.
Krishna's pleasure.
Yes, and that's why Krishna had those guys. Shishapal and Danvakarka, whatever his name is. He had them for fun, right? He wanted to fight. So let's have some fun. Okay. So we play games for Krishna. Beautiful. This is longing for Krishna. And, it's kind of like we think about Srila Prabhupada on this day because, Prabhupada, he invited Krishna on the Jaladuta when he was coming here. And you know, it's only because of Srila Prabhupada that we're able to celebrate Janmashtami, right? Because he came across the Atlantic on the Jaladuta to teach us about Janmashtami. Otherwise, most of us wouldn't know anything about Janmashtami. And how many years did Prabhupada like just tirelessly endeavor, you know, to spread Krishna consciousness? Over 40 years. Over 40 years. More than that, I think, before, well, yeah, over 40 years before he left his body. I mean, he was doing that all his life, but coming to America. And we know all the challenges that he experienced in his life. And yet, you know, just for us to have this glorious day to reflect on the Lord. I mean, every day, but this day today, Krishna gives special mercy, right? Special mercy today. Yeah. So if we can meditate on Srila Prabhupada today, thank him. Thank him for giving us this opportunity. And yeah, I think that's what I have. The spirit of Janmashtami. It's not just a date, it's an invitation today. It's not just, oh, today's the day. You know, it's not just not just all the things that we are doing in terms of longing for him. Those things are important. It's an invitation from Krishna for us to be present, as Corey said, to be present with him today. So, my dear friends, please let us celebrate Janmashtami by being introspective, by trying to get some purification, watch the mind, see where it goes, and deepening our devotion. Nitai Gora Haribol. Does anybody have anything to share? Because I don't know what's going on. What's happening? When the altar opens, because they don't have internet, I understand. Someone wants to make a call. Do I make the call for me to end the class or not? I don't know what's to do here.
It's entirely up to you.
Well, I think I will end the class because it's 8:15, 8:16. And because I don't have internet, I should head back over there to take darshan. And even though my mind is telling me to go to sleep, to be honest, but I know that I want to go and take darshan. When are you getting here, Leela Kishori?
I'm hoping to get there before 3:00.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice to have the drive. It should be quiet so I can listen to pastimes.
Yes.
You know, I can listen to books being read while I drive. So
nice.
It's nice, yes. And I was thinking too, I'm hoping there's going to be a drama maybe today. It was funny. Yesterday, Sangha, and then today, Yasuda brought it up, and I was like, wouldn't it be lovely? We need more of those. We really do. They're really nice to watch and to participate in. So I hope there'll be a drama today.
I learned Krishna Surya is doing a drama. So I think you're going to have one. Yeah. All right, devotees, let Krishna reside in the temple of our hearts today. If we're not able to get here, let this time to see them as the altar open, let them be in our hearts. And we will see all of you tonight, Krishna willing, so that we can be in each other's association. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
Hare
Happy
Hare.
Krishna Janmashtami. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much.